staff, management, or parent company. iHeartMedia Incorporated.
This is the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Jamie Meloni.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in here to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. And again, you'll find this show on every Mondays at noon, so I invite you to please tune in as this show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. Got a great show planned for you today. We're going to be talking with Khurrum Hasan, founder of CUPS, which is the Channel District Urban Professional Society, along with his co-founder, Lauren Campbell. Some big news coming out in the past week about the development over in Channelside, so they have a lot to say about that, as well as opportunities and networking opportunities to get involved with the South Tampa area and the Channelside District specifically. Second half of the show, we'll be talking with Michael Mariani. He's an investment banker and vice president over at Hyde Park Capital. So he'll be on the second part of the show, and we'll be talking about private equity firms and the market for private equity buyers in the Tampa region. A lot of great opportunities out there, according to him, so I'm looking forward to hearing from him as well. I want to take a moment to invite you over to my website off air. You can find me over at tampabayradio.com. I am a realtor with Coldwell Banker, specializing in the sale of bank-owned properties. And on the site, you'll find all of my listings as well as many of my upcoming foreclosure listings. Just go to the main page and click on pre-list properties to see all of my inventory weeks or even months before hitting the market, as all the properties are assigned to me prior to hitting the market, so you can begin to conduct your due diligence before they actually hit the MLS. And that is the only place that you'll know about these properties before hitting the MLS. Again, just head over to tampabayradio.com and go to the pre-list properties. And if you have any questions about any of those, feel free to shoot me an email, jamie@tampabayradio.com. In addition, you can view all of my past shows over the show info tab. We carry all of these via Streamcast as well as AudioCast, and got a lot of great information up on the Tampa Bay radio site with a lot of past guests and a lot of great information on the Tampa Bay real estate market. Joining me in studio today, co-host Stella Giudicelli, fellow realtor with Coldwell Banker. Stella, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. I'm not the lovely Stella Giudicelli today.
Oh, I'm sorry, the lovely Stella Giudicelli.
Thank you very much. I missed it.
You were quick to correct me on that, so you must be a little vain. So.
No, I love when you say it. I think it's very cute.
Very nice. How was your weekend?
Well, the usual. I've done an open house on Saturday, an open house on Sunday. So going around with clients, looking at properties. So I was a busy bee this weekend. Very
interesting. Interestingly enough, I mean, I don't know if you saw on the news, and this brings to light some of the dangers in our industry. A realtor in the Arkansas area went to show a property and came up missing just this past week. And, we as real estate agents, it's very important that we exercise safety when showing properties. And we call on the general public to also exercise, a little bit of, understanding when, a real estate professional pushes back on you to meet them at the office, for instance, to provide identification. A lot of times, you'll get a call on a property, and it's common practice to meet the individual at the property. And people just, as I say, are quick to run out and show properties without qualifying, without doing their due diligence. And this happens a few times a year, and it's unfortunate.
Right. I had the experience of not going and showing a property before. I asked an agent to meet me at a Coldwell Banker office up north. And he didn't have the time and didn't want to, spend that time because it was a little bit of a roundabout for him, and I didn't go and show him the property. And we kept in touch, and I talked to him a few times after that. But it's great when the member of the public understand why we're asking that and actually collaborate with us, because it really participates to protect the agents.
In ways realtors can protect themselves. Number one, ask them to come into the office and provide identification. Ask them for a pre-approval prior to showing the property. I mean, if they've got a pre-approval, that's going to weed out probably most of the criminals, although maybe not, and more the sophisticated ones may know to get that if they really have you on their hit list, for instance. But let people know when you're showing a property, and if you want, take somebody with you as well. But it's unfortunate that we had this situation,
and I guess we don't have any more news this morning about
as of this
realtor.
Morning, no, she's still missing. As of this morning, her husband got some texts in the middle of the night from her phone, which were obviously not hers, stating that she was out drinking with friends and she doesn't drink. And so it's unfortunate, but it's probably not going to end well. But it's just a situation where you realtors feel the pressure to have to run out and show properties just because somebody calls them and says, "I want to see this property
right now."
And so to the people in the public, when they call and they want to work with a realtor, first of all, I always recommend consider hiring a buyer's agent, considering hiring somebody to work with on a professional basis, and go to properties and not just call just different random agents. You'll get a lot better service from having a dedicated real estate professional that can guide you through the real estate market. And but unfortunately, she just took a phone call and ran out to show the property, as so many realtors do. But just if you're a buyer looking to view a property and you call a realtor and they push back on you, understand it's for those types of reasons right there. And this realtor is probably going to come up, probably dead somewhere, unfortunately. Hopefully not.
Well, let's keep positive today.
Hopefully not, but that is unfortunately, what it looks like right there. So I want to go ahead and bring on my first guests, Sid Khurrum Hasan and Lauren Campbell. Sid is the founder of CUPS, which is the Channel District Urban Professional Society, which focuses on growth and development in the Channelside District. Sid's passion for networking and growing effective business relationships, along with the rebirth in the Channelside District, inspired Sid to get involved in the district. Sid also works as a technology executive with DISYS, where he is responsible for developing new and existing relationships and expertly matching his clients with qualified professionals in spaces to achieve his clients' business and IT goals. Prior to his current position, Sid was a co-chair at Open, a nonprofit organization focused on the promotion of entrepreneurship and business leadership in the Pakistani American community. He is joined in studio today with Lauren Campbell, who is the co-founder of CUPS, and she is a licensed real estate professional in Florida focusing on the commercial real estate market. Lauren brings to the table a background in research and analytics in the real estate market and focuses solely on the South Tampa market to assist her clients with opportunities in income property acquisition, vacant land parcels, as well as leasing. Lauren is deeply rooted to the South Tampa community and is an excellent source for what is going on in the region. Sid and Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for coming in. So tell me a little bit more about CUPS.
Again, let me thank you again. I think this is an incredible platform for our own selfish interest in invigorating the Channel District, if you will. It's there's a lot of factors that come into play from a DNA standpoint, and I think if you look at the leading domino with Jeff Vinik, the news just came out last week with a $1 billion investment with Bill Gates and other folks chiming in. And then if you look at the things that Lauren and I are doing from a grassroots standpoint, I think it's important to remember the critical mass that's in place. And then at some point, if we were to align and come together and coalesce around the same theme, which is we firmly believe that CUPS, the Channel District, and the Honorable Jeffrey Vinik's plans could come together and really make the Channel District, or 33602, an environment that fosters a sense of work, live, play. Now, if you take a step back and you look at neighborhoods that are very similar in New York, I think they all started with the same concept around social sciences. So if I were to quote the most prolific author of the day, which is Malcolm Gladwell, and you look at the tipping point, I think we're perhaps on the brink of setting something off that would lead to a wildfire growing, and that is, really coalescing around the common theme of saying we've got civics, commerce, and community in the Channel District that we can really, again, coalesce around and then see it flourish into a beautiful environment.
Yeah, and to fill in listeners who aren't familiar with what's going on in the Channelside District, which is in the South Tampa area for people outside of our area and everything, Jeff Vinik was the successful bidder of the property that went through a bankruptcy court, and he is the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning and the leaseholder of what is now the Emily Arena, formerly the Tampa Bay Times Forum. And just this past week, it was announced that Bill Gates' company, Cascade Investments, LLC, is looking to pump in a lot of money, which is a huge benefit to the region. Anytime Bill Gates gets involved in something, that's definitely a good sign that this is some good things to come. So, Lauren, what is your involvement with CUPS, and how do you complement Sid's role in the organization?
My role in CUPS, I'm the co-founder of CUPS. Sid started the organization when he moved here earlier this summer, and he invited me to join him in organizing sort of community outreach to our neighbors. Traditionally speaking, a lot of the South Tampa neighborhoods that are so popular right now, Seminole Heights, Tampa Heights, Hyde Park, even Ybor City, which financially is not doing as well as Channel District is, but socially is doing much better. A lot of those community leaders started an organization much like CUPS, whether it be a neighborhood association or some other private group, and they were able to grow it from the inside out, attracting investors over time, and attracting developers, attracting people much like Jeff Vinik. Channel District is really interesting in that it actually worked the opposite. The area was a blank slate. Developers came in just before the recession. They pumped a lot of cash into the area, built a lot of buildings. Much like other places in the Tampa Bay area, it didn't do so well during the recession. It's coming back now, but there's a lack of a common core of neighbors in that area who are concerned about community, who are concerned about civics, who are concerned about making sure that our local businesses in that zip code, in that district, are represented well and that we're frequenting those businesses. And so Sid was able to identify that as a gap in our community, and he graciously invited me to join him. And so a lot of what I do is I help Sid facilitate a lot of his big dreams for the neighborhood. He'll come to me with an idea, and we'll discuss it. We'll talk about whether or not it's realistic, or if it is realistic, how we're going to do that. And I've put him in touch with some people. He's put me in touch with some people, and it's great. We've grown an enormous. In the 3.5 months or so, that we've been an organization, we had just last night, and we're still growing. There was 287 members that we had on our CUPS page on Facebook alone, and we're doing a big event this weekend, Saturday the 4th. It starts at 10 a.m. It's at Beau Concept in the Channel District at Grand Central at Kennedy. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be kind of our showcase, our coming out party for the organization, and we're going to have plenty of things to do. There's going to be drawings, giveaways. The mayor's going to be speaking. Our commissioner, Sandra Merman, for our district will be there. The Tampa Police Department will be represented, and as well as all of our sponsors, all of the business owners in the 33602 zip code, specifically Channel District.
So who are you targeting within CUPS? I mean, are you targeting the business owners within the community as well as the owners, just the residential owners? What are you looking to build through CUPS? Is it just like a neighborhood organization, like a homeowners associations, essentially?
That's a great question. Actually, no, I don't think that the answer is it's meant to be a homeowners association. Rather, it's meant to be a neighborhood group of individuals. We're talking business owners, young professionals, students at UT who are living downtown. We want to... A lot of the reasons why people move to the Channel District are not actually in place. So somebody has done some great advertising for our neighborhood so far and said, we have work, live, and play mentality. And we definitely want a work, live, and play mentality, but we're not there yet. You have people living there. Sometimes they're living there part-time, especially based on, the price points of the condos in the neighborhood. People who can afford not to always be living there and maybe live in their other homes in the Bay Area or outside of Florida. And then on the other spectrum, you have students who vacate over summertime and do or don't come back, depending on whether they're renewing at the school that they're at. And so there's a big disconnect. You don't have families that are living there. Sid moved here with his child, who's, how old is he? 16 months. He's 16 months old. So we're starting to see some families building up in the district, but before that, you really just had young professionals or singles, or on occasion you'd find an older couple who's, what do you call them, empty nesters. And so there's a big disconnect between the age groups, and because of that, I think there's a big disconnect in the feeling of a family environment, the feeling of safety, the feeling of just a group of people that like seeing each other and say hello on the street. And so our group is meant to introduce you to other people in your neighborhood, make you feel safe, make you want to stay here. Because right now, Channel District struggles with having someone move in, liking the lifestyle for a couple of years, getting a family, and moving out and buying a house with a yard, which is for some people, but we'd like to keep some of those people in our neighborhood.
Very interesting stuff. We're going to take a quick break, but I want to talk a little bit more with you about the history of the district and stuff coming back from the break. If you're just tuning in, you've been listening to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Back in a moment.
Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage.
It's so important to have good credit, from getting a job to getting a mortgage. even giving your children the care they deserve. Bad credit and credit problems can put your future in jeopardy. So talk to Bill Lavender, Dr. Credit. Take control of your future. Get your credit back on the right track and learn how to keep it there. Visit creditdrbill.com or call 813-655-9451. That's 813-655-9451. If your credit scores are on the floor, call Dr. Credit and watch them soar.
In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit accessreverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit accessreverse.com. NMLS number 4566.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING.
You're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Meloni. Now, here's Jamie.
Thanks for staying tuned in here to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. We're talking with Sid, Khurrum, Hasan, and Lauren Campbell, founders of CUPS, the Channel District Urban Professional Society. And I want to go back to Sid. Tell me a little bit about the motivating factors for people choosing to invest in the Channel District.
Yeah, no, that's very important. I'm glad we've gone back to it, Jamie. Let me just use my own use case for a second. So I've been in Tampa now 179 days. My wife and I and my son looked at 4 neighborhoods. All of them had certain things that were very important to us. So we lived in an area in Washington, D.C. that was conducive for people like ourselves, young urban professionals, to perhaps, get dressed up and go out to dinner to Morton's or stay home with our son and just walk around in the stroller and have a bite. But there was a sense of community, identity, security, and just some banalities, if you will, that were in place. So if you look at the motivating factors for which we chose the Channel District, they're just not in place. There's zero sense of identity. There's no community. There's no security. So I think we've taken it upon ourselves. So if you look at the demographic information from an HHI standpoint or a household income, there are people that are like myself, moving from outside of Hillsborough County and have a certain income range that is conducive to building something around and really saying, you know what, we can be brand ambassadors to make the Channel District a location to sit in and live in and work in and play. So that's, if nothing else comes across from a Channel District urban professional standpoint or CUPS, one must come around and really understand the most cogent points of why we've started this. And you have to extrapolate that it's nothing more than an ability for us to build a sense of community. I would love it for Lauren to be able to walk home, and if, God forbid, something were to happen, and she could walk across the street and say, oh, the Honorable Henry Lewis lives at 11th in Washington, and say, Henry, I would love it if you walked me home. That, to me, fundamentally is very important. Now, again, going back to DNA, we've got everything it takes from a civics, community, and commerce standpoint to make sure that if you look at Ray Priddle, who owns Bow Concept, that he doesn't have to worry about what he's going to be doing in 6 months, but he just worries about selling some very high-end, beautiful European furniture. That should be the least of his worries. So we're hopeful that CUPS is putting that type of environment, it's fostering that, and thank you to Michael, invigorating that sentiment.
Now, what type of events do you have to grow the organization and get involved? What is going on within CUPS internally?
That's a really good question. So right now, we have impromptu sort of networking events. They're very casual. We have them on Thursday evenings right now. We hold them at Bow Concept. They're held at Poorhouse. We try and frequent the different businesses around town so everyone can kind of get an idea of what's there. Additionally, we're wrapping up our planning and execution for our event on Saturday, which is our, like I said earlier, it's our big introduction to the neighborhood, if you will. We're planning a run for later on this fall, we have a Halloween event that we're in the process of planning. We're looking at doing a cocktail reception at Flambe towards Christmas, so a networking event there too. So, and we're very open to ideas. So at each of our networking events that we're doing on Thursday evenings, they're at 6 o'clock, and we always put up on our Facebook page where we're going to be. We invite and encourage the participants to, just shout out like what they want to see, what they want to do, because it's all about them. And we're not here to make money. We don't take donations. We facilitate. We like to think of ourselves as facilitators. So oftentimes we'll in our day-to-day, either through business or through networking for cups, we'll meet someone and we'll happily introduce them to another business owner or a professional that could use their services. And we're just kind of in the market to make people happy and to get them involved in our neighborhood and to want to stay in our neighborhood.
Okay, so it's a networking group designed around growing and promoting the Channel District, correct?
That's correct.
Is it tied at all to the city professionals at all, or is there any tie to the council or anything like that right now, or is that you kind of looking to grow into that?
No, Jimmy, good
try to
point
get more
again.
influence, within the district?
Absolutely. I mean, I think right now our approach is that we just want to be agnostic and kind of selfishly say that we want to grow our brand, which is the Channel District. So if you look at from bell towers on one side of the highway, again, I'm only 179 days in, so one side of the highway to the towers, plus a little bit of Harbor Island, that's what constitutes as 33602. And we're saying we kind of, for a bit, be a bit selfish. And again, I often quote Aristotle, remember the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, right? So this
Synergy.
is about, yes. So again.
What I always describe that 1 + 1 = 3.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, there's no membership dues or anything? You said this is strictly just a networking of young professionals, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We don't have any membership dues. If you're interested in joining us and you like more information and you want to start to get involved, we're going to be holding a meeting on Thursday at 6 p.m. at Bow Concept. You're free to join us. Additionally, if you can't make it out or you don't have time, then you can join us on Facebook. You can find us at Cups Space Dash Channel District Urban Professional site. It should pop up and we'll happily add you to the group, and you'll see all our flyers coming through, our updates, and you can feel free to post. It's an open.
But it's important, Jamie, to reiterate that there must be an affinity for one of the three characteristics of our group, which is work, live, play in the Channel District.
Okay, some great information. So if you didn't catch that, you can always go over to the Tampa Bay radio site after the show. We'll have their information up to get you over to their Facebook page. Do you have any other outlets where this is promoted, or are you strictly just doing Facebook right now?
I think we're on the commissioner's website and perhaps on the mayor's website as well, because they'll be speaking at the event at 10:30 on Saturday.
All right. Yeah. Sounds like a plan. I will get that information up on the Tampa Bay radio site after the show as well. Getting ready to take a quick break here. Again, you're listening to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Coming back from another break, we're going to get a credit update from expert contributor Bill Lavender of Bill Lavender Credit Solutions. And then in the second half of the show, we'll be talking with Michael Mariani, investment banker with Hyde Park Capital. Again, you're listening to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Back in a moment.
It takes an experienced team when you're fighting cancer. The 170 physicians of Florida Cancer Specialists see patients at over 80 locations statewide, including Brooksville, Ormond Beach, LaCanto, and our newest location in Ocala. You'll find the most advanced and personalized cancer treatment available without having to take a road trip. Visit us online at flcancer.com. Florida Cancer Specialist, world-class medicine, hometown care.
ABC Pest Control's pest-free home service can rid your home of insects that carry diseases and are a direct cause of health concerns for children. Give your family peace of mind knowing your home is protected from these insects. Call ABC Pest Control today at 877-888-PEST.
Hi, Todd Schnitt here. If you're concerned about the markets or how politics in Washington may affect your investments, I recommend you call Robert Harwood of the Harwood Financial Group right now, 800-395-4279. He'll review your investments, craft you a plan, and show you how to improve your finances. If you're looking for a better way to invest, worried about the next market correction, or just feel like you have room for improvement, I strongly recommend you call Robert Harwood. I'm confident that he can show you a better way way to invest. Call Robert at 800-395-4279 or visit him on the web at theharwoodway.com. There truly is a difference, and when you meet with Robert, you'll understand why I chose to co-host our weekend radio show together, The Harwood Way. Call Robert Harwood of Harwood Financial. Ask for your complimentary financial review and financial plan. Tell him Schnitz sent you. 800-395-4279. Advisory services offered through Harwood Advisory Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Jim Brown! Saturday, come to Jim Brown Chevrolet on North Florida Avenue in Tampa to meet Evan Longoria. Evan will be signing autographs from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Test drive the all-new 2015 Silverado and enjoy free lunch from Hungry Harry's Barbecue.
Jim Brown! Need AC? Call Simpson Air, the coolest guys in town. Log on to thecoolestguys.com. This report is brought to you by the law firm of Catania and Catania, putting families first.
In a crash, act fast.
That's where the free Crash Kit app from Catania and Catania comes in. Catania and Catania are crash and injury law attorneys. So visit CataniaandCatania.com and get your Crash Kit now. Not attorney spokesperson. Offices Tampa.
In a crash, act fast.
From the Bright House Network Traffic Center, delays eastbound along the Courtney Campbell Causeway. Possible construction blocking 2 lanes just past Rocky Point. Only a far left lane able to squeeze by. Southbound along the Veterans Expressway also stop and go with emergency construction that has the right lane closed near Waters Avenue. And watch out for a reported wreck in Pinellas County slowing things down along Tampa Road at 580. See a problem on the roadways? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterwick Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line at 866-545-9595.
1250 winds, Weather Center forecast. Highs today into the mid-80s, a few of those upper 80s coming up inland today. Sunshine with scattered clouds, a cloud cover picking up a bit throughout the afternoon as those showers and storms do as well, 60%. We'll see them pick up on the coastlines first, then push further inland throughout the later portion of the day into the evening. And tomorrow, temperatures in the mid-80s once again, about a 50% chance of rain. Upper 80s starting Wednesday, but by the weekend should be back into the mid and even some low 80s on Sunday. Markets, Dow is up, down 84, NASDAQ off 17, S&P Index red 9, down to 17,028.
You're listening to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Maloney. Now, here's Jamie.
Hi again, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned in here to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. And again, you'll find this show on every Mondays at noon, so I invite you to please tune in as this show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. In the first half of the show, we were talking with Sid, Khurrum, Hasan, and Lauren Campbell. They are the founders of CUPS, the Channel District Urban Professional Society, all about ways to get involved in the Channel District, and something you may want to look into, something that I recommend to, especially with Jeff Vinik's involvement here in the district, and alongside the announcement that came out last week of Bill Gates' company, Cascade Investments LLC, that's going to be pumping in what's rumored to be around $200 million into the district. So something you definitely want to get involved in. Look them up over look them up on Facebook, and also you can come over to my website, tampabayradio.com, and I will partner you up with them as well if you're looking to get involved in opportunities in the Channel District. Want to go ahead and go into our Credit Matters segment. Got Bill Lavender from Bill Lavender Credit Solutions here on the phone. Bill, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jamie. How are you?
Hey, doing great. How was the weekend? Anything exciting going on?
Oh, it's always exciting in my neck of the woods.
So Bill is
moment in credit.
Bill is an expert contributor here to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show. Been involved in credit for 25, 30. How long you been involved, Bill?
A little over 30 years.
30 years. Wow. So I want to talk a little bit about what practices are off limits for debt collectors today with you. So what do you got for us?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that federal law is very explicit. It covers debt collectors so specifically that very few of them follow it because they know on average consumers are not aware of their rights. And what I want to do in the next couple of minutes is make all of you that are listening and following the program aware of those rights, because there's a national epidemic of unlawful collectors and practices just literally ruining people's lives. Just all kinds of stuff. And I'd like to go into some of them really quickly. First of all, debt collectors cannot harass you. They can't oppress you. They can't threaten you. They can't use obscene or profane language. And they cannot repeatedly use the telephone to annoy you once you tell them to leave you alone.
Okay. So what happens when they are, abusing these practices? Do they need to contact an attorney? Can you assist them, or what?
What I'd like for them to do is contact me. I have an attorney in Tampa, in the Hyde Park area, that on my recommendation, and if, of course, we have the documentation to back it up, will take a case on contingency, file appropriate legal action, and there are stiff penalties. They can end up owing you thousands of dollars.
And you say it's important to request everything from them in writing?
Everything in writing. In fact, any communication that you should have, for example, if you send them something, always send it certified, keep copies, keep good notes, take documentation. If they're calling you on your telephone, take a picture of it. Find a way to, prove that you can, any communication that you have, that you can prove it. Because if you do, you can catch the violator, and the more evidence you have, of course, the easier it is, to be able to press charges against them, file a civil suit, and collect some money.
Well, now, Bill, how can my listeners get in touch with you? Where's your site at for these for my listeners?
Well, they can go on my website, which is creditdrbill.com, or they can call my office, 813-655-9451, or they can contact the Jamie Meloni Show.
Sounds good. Well, Bill, thanks again for the update on the Credit Matters segment, and we'll be talking again with you next week. Have a great week, Bill.
Okay, you too, Jamie.
All right, take care. I want to go ahead and go into our second guest here for the show, Michael Mariani. He is a vice president with Hyde Park Capital and helps to support their mergers and acquisitions and private capital raising, as well as corporate finance efforts across a variety of industries. He is responsible for originating, evaluating, executing, and managing investment banking transactions as well. Michael graduated from Georgetown University with a BS in Business Administration, and he served 6 years in the Army as a field artillery officer, including deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, before earning his MBA from the Darden School of Business at the University of Virginia. Michael holds the Series 79 securities license for investment banking registered representatives. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you having me on.
So tell me a little bit more about your role and what Hyde Park Capital has to offer.
Sure. Well, Hyde Park Capital was founded in 2000. We're a boutique investment banking firm that was founded with the vision of providing very high-quality investment banking services to the middle market. We define the middle market as companies generally with enterprise values between about $10 million and $500 million. So our firm has lines of business in three main areas, which is what makes us a boutique firm. So we focus on mergers and acquisitions, primarily on the sales side. So our clients are hiring us to run a sale process for their company. Mm-hmm. We also raise capital, and that is not friends and family type capital, so what we would call a retail raise. That's large amounts of institutional capital, usually $10 million and up. And the third thing that we do is what we call financial advisory, which is typically providing something like a fairness opinion for a company's board of directors. Okay. That goes along with the sale process to determine whether a sale price is fair or not to the shareholders.
Okay. Let's talk about mergers and acquisitions in the banking industry first. Sure. Since the financial crisis of 2008, we've seen the failure and merging of many financial institutions. First, what is the current state of the mergers and acquisitions market for financial institutions? Are we seeing some stability here?
I think we are. So, you know, a lot has changed since 2008. So most of the banks have been able to work through their troubled assets. On the traditional banking side, that's led to more stability. Bank balance sheets are very healthy, but it's also important to note that part of that regulation included the Dodd-Frank bill, which increased regulation significantly on banking institutions and some non-banking institutions as well. And so that regulation poses a cost, and one way for banking institutions to confront that cost is to build scale. And so, you know, we expect, as part of that process of growing scale, we expect banking M&A to increase here in the next few years, with with traditional banking institutions.
Yeah, I can definitely speak from experience just in what I do in the real estate market from the 2010 Dodd-Frank bill. That was a revolutionary bill and probably the most biggest change in the banking industry to come out since probably the Great Depression. Am I right?
Absolutely, huge implications there. I think both good and bad. So, on the good side, I think it did help confront the issue of banking institutions taking excessive risk, which we saw in 2008. What that can do to the system as a whole. But also, I think there's been a lot of negatives that have gone along with Dodd-Frank. So. One of the points of that bill was to protect the consumer. The problem with that is that when you add a lot of regulatory costs to the system, it typically gets passed on to the consumer.
Right.
And so, it was interesting. One of the big banks, I think it was Jamie Dimon in his last investment in earnings call, was talking about how they've hired almost as many regulators as they have revenue producers in the company in the last couple of years. And so it's a tremendous cost. And so that cost oftentimes gets pushed down to the consumer level. And so I think that's a negative. And then another thing that it's done, and you can see that in the market. So one area that Hyde Park's been very active is non-banking financial institutions. So those would be, not in our case, not payday lenders, but companies like installment lenders that are providing small loans to the underbanked. And so when Dodd-Frank hit, banks immediately stopped providing loans to a large subset of the population. And so, and that's why a lot of subprime finance companies have taken off in the last 5 years, is because their population has grown exponentially. And so, that's one area that we've seen and worked a lot in is specialty finance, and that's basically been a repercussion of what's happened with Dodd-Frank and increasing the amount of folks that cannot get a loan.
Yeah, I know. Just in my space, I work with the banks selling their bank-owned properties, and I can remember when that all came out between 2010 and 2011. So many policies changed. We got hit with so much more regulation, and it's definitely been a huge I guess impediment to moving some of these properties, I would say, versus when I started in 2007 and 2008 was much easier to sell these properties. But today I feel like I have to stay behind my desk all day instead of getting out and showing properties, and it kind of frustrates some of the buyers who want to see properties. But the regulation is tying me to my desk more and more these days.
Sure, and that's a cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another thing I want to ask, currently, the Dow Jones is in record territory, yet the economy is stagnant and optimism seems low. Elaborate on this discrepancy. I mean, is this a great time for investment, or are we operating inside another investment bubble, in your opinion?
I don't think we're in a bubble. I think the market has been significantly impacted by the Fed has engaged in extraordinary easy money policies since the recession. That's led to very, very low interest rates, near zero for a sustained amount of time. They've been doing a lot of quantitative easing. There's, I think, $1 trillion or more on their balance sheet. And so what that has done is push investors into riskier assets, and I think that's reflected in the stock market. I don't think, you asked about the Dow Jones. I think it is at record highs. I think if you look at it from a multiples perspective, it is probably a little bit overpriced, but not significantly. But
it's just confusing to consumers that we hear about the negative economy. Yeah, we got the Dow at record highs. It doesn't make sense to the average person.
It's bifurcated, right? I mean, the market's being driven a lot by, the Fed, like I said, but large institutional investors. It's not the benefits of that aren't necessarily translating over to the average consumer, right? In that regard, the market is pretty bifurcated. The Dow is doing very well, but unemployment has been extremely slow to come back. Wage growth is slow. GDP growth is pretty not very exciting. So those are the things that are probably going to be the most important to the average consumer. And so I think to fix those is not a matter of the stock market, but more fundamental changes in regulations and taxes and everything else.
Got to take a quick break here, but stay tuned. Coming back from the break, we'll be talking more with Michael Mariani about some of the opportunities that he's seeing here in the Tampa Bay real estate market with regard to the private equity market. So please stay tuned. And again, you're listening to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ.
Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage.
It's so important to have good credit, from getting a job to getting a mortgage, even giving your children the care they deserve. Bad credit and credit problems can put your future in jeopardy. So talk to Bill Lavender, Dr. Credit. Take control of your future. Get your credit back on the right track and learn how to keep it there. Visit creditdrbill.com or call 813-655-9451. That's 813-655-9451. If your credit scores are on the floor, call Dr. Credit and watch them soar.
In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit accessreverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit accessreverse.com. NMLS number 4566.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Maloney of the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING.
You're listening to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Maloney. Now, here's Jamie.
Welcome back here to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. I'm talking with Michael Mariani. He's an investment banker and vice president over at Hyde Park Capital. And Michael, I want to talk a little bit more about specifically the Tampa area and the mergers and acquisitions that you're seeing in the region. You're saying it's a very healthy market. Tell us a little bit more about this and why that is.
Sure. Well, I think for some of the reasons that there's a couple of reasons. There's, I think, macro reasons, and then there's always, company-specific, more micro reasons. And from the macro side, one of the key points is what we were actually talking about before the break. So there's a lot of easy money right now. The cost of debt is very low. And so when that happens, that is generally good for sellers because buyers can pay more because they can borrow more. And so that has been a good driver of the M&A market recently. And other things, if you look at it from a strategic perspective, GDP growth has been pretty slow, and so because of that, organic growth has been pretty slow for companies, and so a lot of them are looking to M&A as a way to increase their growth.
Now, what's keeping the cost of debt low? Is it just the Fed's interest rates is so much tied to that low interest rate, or where are the sources of the funds coming from the investors that are putting out the money?
Sure. Well, primarily on the debt side, like I said, the cost of debt is very low. That's partly because of the Fed. It's partly because banks have sort of righted their balance sheets and are being aggressive about making loans. On the equity side of the balance sheet, so there is a lot of capital on the sidelines right now. So both strategic buyers and private equity groups have a lot of money to put to work. So on the private equity side, there was a lot of funds raised around the 2008-2009 vintage that, because of the downturn in the economy, didn't get to put a lot of that to work, and so they need to use that money or return it to their investors. And generally, they don't want to return it to their investors. And so there's a lot of private equity capital on the sidelines. I think in the U.S. alone, it's estimated at between $400 and $500 billion for private equity. On the strategic side, there's a lot of cash on balance sheets is near historic highs. And so that all bodes well for sellers in the sense that there's a lot of dry powder on the sidelines. And then also going along with that is that there's, in the deal market, what we've seen at Hyde Park Capital is that there is we call it a supply and demand imbalance of good deals. So there's not enough deals to meet the demand in the market. And so for quality companies, that helps push multiples higher because there's competition for good deals because of that imbalance.
What type of companies are in demand out there? I see that you specialize in healthcare, financial services, and technology. Are you seeing opportunities in all three of these areas? Is one better than another?
We're seeing opportunity in all of them. I think we sort of equate the health of the market to deal volume, and I think if you look at deal volume, certainly the highest is in either technology or healthcare. At Hyde Park Capital, we've been very active in healthcare. That space is going through a lot of changes right now, a lot of M&A across the board. And so the Affordable Care Act has actually very similar to what we were talking about with Dodd-Frank and a lot of regulation. The Affordable Care Act has changed the landscape a little bit, and I think the threat of reimbursement decreases and some of the things that's going to do to the market has provided an impetus for companies to try to gain scale through M&A. Mm-hmm. And then also if you're, so one area we've been very active in is with selling large physician practices. And if you're, and those types of groups are being confronted by a lot of different buyers because both from the hospital side and from the insurance side, because all those types of healthcare providers want to get basically as close as possible to the patient, control the patient as much as they can, and so the way to do that is to actually own the doctors.
Now, take us just briefly through an mergers and acquisitions. You say M&A, that's mergers and acquisitions. Does the seller approach you usually? Does the buyer approach you and you go out and try to broker a deal, or how does it work?
Sure. It works both ways. About 70% of our transactions are on the sell side, so we're working for the seller. The company decides that they want to run a M&A process, and which we feel is by far the most efficient and effective way to maximize their price and terms. And so they hire us to run a process for them. And what we usually plan on is a 6-month timeline. It can be done faster. In a lot of cases, it kind of depends on the client. And one thing that's important with this topic is that we encourage clients that are interested in doing an M&A process to start thinking about it as early as possible. The earlier, the better, because they're going to want to do things to prep their company for a sale process, like ideally have audited financial statements, set up a virtual data room with all their key, legal and operational documents, and all those things will help the deal happen faster.
And you're saying the Tampa market right now is a very healthy M&A market, though. You made that point earlier, correct?
Sure. For the same reasons that we talked about, I don't think of M&A as being very regional, at least in the United States. But Tampa is a quality area. There's, especially in the middle market, there's a lot of great companies out there. Florida is, especially on the healthcare side, actually, this is more regional. Florida is growing and growing pretty fast, and so that makes this market attractive to a lot of.
How do you think the announcement last week of Bill Gates' involvement in Channelside is going to influence? Obviously, that's going to have a positive impact upon business owners in the Channel District. Correct?
Absolutely. That's that Cascade is Bill Gates' family office, mm-hmm. And so I think where they're putting, they've done very well. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal about them, I think, last week, but they've had a good return, and so whenever you're backed by somebody like Bill Gates, that's a huge stamp of approval, so that's important.
Are there any other local factors in the Tampa region that are specifically driving the mergers and acquisitions opportunities in the area that come to mind, or is it just overall the economy is just doing much better and opening up some opportunities right now?
Yeah, I think with the exception of probably healthcare, which is probably more regional, I think in the areas of industrial technology and financial services, where Hyde Park Capital spends a lot of time, I think the M&A market is less regional, so I don't think it's specific to Tampa, but the macro the fundamentals for a good M&A market are very strong, and so sellers are seeing very high multiples historically.
Okay, so we talked a lot about Hyde Park Capital's role with mergers and acquisitions. What are some of the other opportunities that people listening here can contact Hyde Park Capital for as well?
Sure. So the types of clients that we work with are so we're a registered broker dealer, but like I said, I think at the beginning we focused on three areas of expertise, and that's M&A. That's our most active. We're one of the most active boutique investment banking firms in the Southeast. We also do capital raise engagements, so that's usually $10 million and up, and so companies that there's usually a large equity component to that as opposed to debt. So companies that might be looking for growth capital or partial liquidity for owners to potentially go along with growth capitals or some mix thereof. That's something that we do a lot of, and then financial advisory as well. So fairness opinions for companies that are being sold. Our average client is probably north of. We measure it by EBITDA, so earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or pre-tax profit is an easy way to look at it. So we usually work with clients that are $2 million and up in that department, so not early stage or something like that, but growth companies, large private, small public companies.
Yeah, I was looking over your website, which is hydeparkcapital.com. Am I correct? Hydeparkcapital.com. You got a breakdown of all of your recent deals, probably all your historical deals as well. It seems like you're very involved in the region.
Yeah. I think we average probably 7 or 8 sell side M&A transactions a year, which is pretty active for a firm of our size. We're a boutique firm, and so. It's an area where we have a lot of expertise. All of our senior bankers have experience at large bulge bracket firms, and so again, that was sort of the vision for our company, is providing bulge bracket, very high quality services to the middle market.
Well, Michael, a lot of great information. Thank you very much for coming in the show. Glad you stopped in today.
Thank you for having me, and enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. And if you're just tuning in, you've been listening here to the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show here on 1250 WINS WHNZ. And again, you'll find my show on every Mondays at noon. So I invite you to please tune in, as the show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. We are talking with Sid Khurrum, Hasan, and Lauren Campbell, founders of CUPS, the Channel District Urban Professional Society, about the Channel District today on the first part of the show. And we were just talking again with Michael Mariani, investment banker and vice president over at Hyde Park Capital. Catch all of their information up on the Tampa Bay radio site after the show, and I will see you all again here next Monday at noon on the Jamie Maloney Real Estate Show.
The opinions, viewpoints, and promises made during the preceding program are not those of WHNZ AM, its staff, management, or parent company, iHeartMedia.